Chapter 11, Born of the Spirit. In order to command legions, one must first be able to command himself, for he who ruleth himself is greater than he who rules kingdoms. To be born of the Spirit is one thing. To go on after this spiritual birth, even to full maturity, is quite another. To reach the full maturity of the Spirit, it is quite necessary to continue to hunger and thirst after righteousness. This maturity comes, beloved, as you learn to continue in steadfast prayer and rejoicing. Then will hope turn into abundant faith, and faith becomes knowledge endowed with power. Never cease to hunger and thirst until you receive the very fullness of God, this inner perfection which must be brought forth until it fills all the outer realm of your being, and life is the completion of your divine destiny as far as the sphere of action is concerned. For know this, my greatly beloved, that you cannot bring this inner perfection of complete selfishness and devotion into full activity without changing the condition around you and the lives of others. This is done by living the higher law of righteousness, not just by believing them. Even the devils believe. Understand, beloved, that after one is born, he must develop into full maturity. To be born of the Spirit but places you upon the road of spiritual progress, which only ends with the very fullness of the Father. Then and then only has the soul developed to its full stature, and the spiritual birth fulfills its measured requirements. This being born again is a principle upon which millions have placed their hope of salvation, and they know not that salvation is but the infant state of immaturity. It is but the state of a newborn child. It is for those who continued on the upward path after their infant feet have been placed upon the sacred highway of light, who continue the inner striving to find and to know God, who continue to develop into the fullness of maturity, to whom all powers are given. These are they who learn to hear my voice, to fulfill the will of God, to keep his commandments with a glory of singing joy. Each commandment, each suggestion of the Father is but a waymark along the glorified path of exaltation. For such as continue to follow his commands with joy, there shall come the time of contact from within, and his living, life-giving words will become a part of life itself. For such the test of actually knowing God become a glory and not a burden, a joy and not a sorrow, an opportunity and not a punishment. For one must be tested and tried in all things in order to rise above all things. Salvation is for the weak, for those who never stand upon their own feet, who never learn to walk with God in their own strength. Salvation is for those who lean on their appointed leaders or on the strength of others. These are they who let others do their thinking, and who never waken their souls for that divine hunger and thirsting to actually know God, that they might walk with him. These are the ones who can be lulled into sleep in a crib that is too short for growth and with the covering too narrow for the great spiritual covering required for full maturity. Salvation is my gift to all. It is my gift to every human being who does not forfeit his right to it. In the love of my sacrifice of myself was contained the power of your salvation, if you will only accept it. It was and is given freely. It is for all except for those who forfeit it by transgressions too great to be forgiven, or by a rejection that is filled with complete knowledge. Salvation is for those who only accept being born again, or being born of the Spirit, as the complete fulfillment and goal of the all-righteousness and the end of a struggle instead of only the beginning. It is for those who permit others to do their thinking and who never learn to walk in their own greatness, fulfilling their own complete destiny and pattern of life. Yea, beloved, salvation is the infant's reward. It is for those who fail to mature to the fullness of the Father in a love and selflessness and joyous devotion that surpasses and bypasses the tears and anguish and darkness and selfish desires and petty petitions, and steps into the love that disdains rewards and personal glory. It is a love so perfect it has eyes only single to the glory of God, and with such a love a full maturity of the soul is completed. Thus the glory of God, as you seek to fulfill it, becomes your glory and your fulfillment. Yes, my dearly beloved, exaltation is for those who fulfill their own promise of greatness by leaving the self behind. These are they who reach their full maturity of soul and learn the power of walking with God. These are they who develop the power to rend the veil of darkness first within themselves, Then, reaching out, they help to rend it from the face of the earth. By the development of perfect love, by thanksgiving and joyous ecstasy, they become united with the very power of eternal light. To shout hallelujah is not enough. To be good is not enough. To live as the professing race of Christians have lived during the last 2,000 years is not enough. Neither is it enough to give every moment of your life to fill some higher position. Such positions usually are the complete reward for such service as one is lifted in prestige and receiving the coveted honor of men. The great reward, the complete fullness, the divine maturity, which must fulfill the purpose of being born of the Spirit, is the overcoming of the physical self. This little mortal self, willed with its self-important ego, must step aside to let the soul progress in its destined, complete, glorified maturity. It is the awakening of the soul that holds the spiritual birth. It is the development of the soul to its full maturity that holds the fullness of God. It is the little mortal self with its pride, its lust, its weakness and faults, and fears and burdens of accumulated darkness that is blocking the progress of the soul. It is the self-righteousness of man that is holding back the new day even more than the wickedness of defiance and rebellion. The full maturity which is meant to follow the birth or awakening of the soul can only come after one has overcome the little mortal self. As long as this outer physical being predominates and rules, one is serving mammon, or the flesh. When the spirit rises up to the equal of the physical, begins to give battle for its heritage as the firstborn to the throne of rulership, then the victory can be achieved, and the rightful heir to the throne can begin its righteous rule. This struggle is one that is completely unobserved by the outside world, and he who boasts of it and of his progress, or even mentions his degree of salvation, is still in the infant stage. Remember, beloved, that the Spirit is the firstborn, for it was born or clothed in spirit, formed long before the physical birth. It is the firstborn and is heir to the rulership of the body and its senses. When the rightful heir to the throne of your own being takes over, all things are complete and fulfilled, for it is a rule of power and love and perfection and glorified achievement. My beloved, when the praises and honors of men can become of no consequence to you, when you no longer feast on the soft flatteries of men, when the high seats have lost their glamour and ceased to feed the lust of pride, and when all evil thoughts and desires for rewards have been completely put aside, and you are delighted to take the least seat and become the least, then you are near your maturity. That is how one becomes the least. It is the overcoming of the little mortal self. Then can you become the greatest, for then the spiritual takes over, and all things will be fulfilled in you. As you become the greatest, all things will become subjected unto you, both in heaven and on earth. The life and the light, the spirit and the power, sent forth by the Father through me, Jesus Christ his Son. My dearly beloved, when you realize that your physical self you can do nothing, that your physical being holds no power, then God can clothe you in the white raiment, and you will be clothed indeed. Then will the shame of your nakedness be covered, so that it will never appear, and you will realize that I am the vine. You will then know that your own works, though they took your entire strength, time, talents, and even your life, were but dead and empty works. When the pure love of God can be shed forth through your heart, without malice, prejudice, pride, or darkness in its forgiving, compassionate, Christ-like divine essence, that you will find yourself clothed in light, endowed with infinite power, giving out the healing power of eternal love and one with God. Now, beloved, if you can learn that your own greatness must unfold through the divine will of God, as you learn to place yourself in complete and utter surrender to his divine will, though it be the cross, you will come into the fullness of your resurrected soul, as the seals to its tomb are removed from within you, and it steps forth clothed in the almighty power of God. You will then realize that the greatest tragedy the world ever held was my crucifixion, which was also the greatest blessing ever given. Your own crucifixion of self upon the cross will bring forth your own resurrection into the great powers of the Almighty Father. When your will can have and become one with his will, you will have the ears to hear. and you will comprehend the music of the spheres, and will become a part of the very vibration and harmony of the divine song of the universal triumphant glory, the new song. Yea, then will your heart be opened wide to my pure love as it flows forth through you, and out to bind the broken, to heal the halt, to restore the lame and the blind, and bless and redeem the earth upon which you stand. Then will all the great and holy promises that have been made since time began be fulfilled in you. Then will you be able to do the works that I did, and the first work required of me is the same that is required of you, even the overcoming of the little physical mortal self. This was my struggle, even as it is yours. After the self is overcome, then can you go on to do the greater works, for I will be with you. Yea, my beloved, and according to the promise, I will reveal the Father unto you, and you will receive of his fullness, even the complete maturity of your own sacred divine soul. Such are my promises, and such will be their fulfillment unto you, for the promises cannot be broken, neither can they remain or return unto me unfulfilled. Yea, beloved, overcome the flesh, with its pride, its lust, its bigotry and hatefulness, and darkness, and let the soul begin to develop into its full maturity. And as you commence this journey, you shall know that you are walking the path with me, that I am with you. When you have finished it, you shall henceforth walk with God.